Everybody, today is the 11th of January and we are in our first class of thermodynamics. Thermodynamics this semester has an in-class component, a face-to-face component, and there are also a couple of students who will be taking this class as an online internet class. So that's one of the reasons that I'm very careful to put everything online and to make sure to vodcast everything. The first thing we're going to do is go over class procedures, and we will discuss how the class is going to run. And by the end of the day today, you'll know what you need to do to get an A, B, C, D. Nobody needs to know what to do to get an F. Well, that just sort of comes naturally to most people. But we should get A's and B's if we if we follow the class procedure. So the first thing is, everything in this class can be found in our Moodle page. So your portal will look a little different than mine because your students and mine is a portal for faculty, but basically everything will be here. The first thing is the document that I've given to you if you're here in class today, the class syllabus for the spring of 18, so we're going to go through this in detail. You'll also notice that in our class there are lectures. These are imported from last year, so they're still probably 100% valid, but I will do a class presentation every day, every Tuesday and every Thursday. And then if you need additional information, or if for some reason I'm gone, I may boost one of these to the first line of defense in terms of getting the material across. But my plan is to do a new vodcast every Tuesday and every Thursday for the semester. All right, so let's take a look at our syllabus. As I said, there are two sections being run concurrently, O1 and 1N. O1 is the face-to-face section. 1N is the internet class, so if you're joining us from a distance, welcome. The class will be held Tuesday, Thursday from 10:50 to 12:05 every day, and if you are in the internet section, all you will have to do is to watch the vodcast from the Moodle page. So the catalog description of this course, in introduction, we introduce thermodynamic variables, processes, and laws, followed by the derivation of thermodynamic relations applied to real physical problems. Some of the concepts include mass, energy, and entropy balances. Most people are familiar with the ideas of energy and mass. Entropy is a new concept that really comes about only through thermodynamics. So toward the end of the class, the last 6 weeks or so, we'll be talking about entropy. So you'll learn some new stuff, and we'll continue from there. This class will prepare you, if you are a mechanical engineering major, a chemical engineering major, or a petroleum engineering major. It's going to be the basis for a lot of stuff that you do from this point forward. If you are a civil engineering major or another specialty engineering major, this may be the last time you see this information. But in any case, it's important for different reasons, but almost every engineering student at every college is required to take this class. What are you laughing about?
A celebration.
Yay! Right. So that's always good. There's always things to be happy about. The prerequisite for this class, you need to have completed Calc 2 and Dynamics, or Calc 2 and Physics 1310. If you don't have that prerequisite, please let me know, and we'll just double check to make sure that you're ready, math ready for this class. Our goals are to gain factual knowledge and terminology of engineering thermo, to understand phase behavior, state functions, and solve engineering problems. And we are going to present solutions in industry standard format. So for those of you who have not had class with me before, what industry standard format means is that you'll complete homework problems using this homework template, which I will put up on our thermal page. Right now I just have it on the fluids page. So for those of you that are in thermal only, you'll need to make sure that you complete your homework according to this format. The first thing is you'll need to buy engineering comp paper or some other form of quadro paper. So if you have a different type of of engineering paper. It doesn't have to be green. Green is great, but there's lots of other good colors as well. But it needs to have a grid on it. Notebook paper is not acceptable. Lined, college ruled, wide ruled, none of it. So you have to have this kind of paper for your homework. And then we can go through this a little bit, but basically it's always date, the course number. So for example, here, ES 2310, what the problem set is, your name, and the sheets 1 out of 12, 2 out of 12, and so forth. Now, I always really appreciate getting everybody's first and last name. In this class, it's not an issue because we don't have 2 Jacques, we don't have 2 Eulins, we don't have 2 Emmas. So you know, I can distinguish. But it's really important that you put the course number and your complete name, because sometimes I have students in 2 courses. Sometimes I have people with the same first or last name. So in this case, let's, you know, and this is just a good principle to follow. This homework template is actually one that I am repurposing from another teacher at Montana Tech in Butte. And it's a good format in that it's universal. So when you go elsewhere, when you go to University of Wyoming or to another school, University of North Dakota, or whatever, the problem solving will be similar to this. So basically every problem, 5.1, 5.4, have to be clearly differentiated from each other. They do not have to be on separate sheets of paper, but draw a line or make a score through your paper with a straight edge to delineate those 2 problems. Always remember, answering questions in engineering, doing a homework problem is always like an essay question. It's never a short answer question. So every one of your problems, you might go, oh good, I only have 4 problems to do this week, but those 4 problems are quite in depth. And the answer, meaning the number down here, is only a part of what I grade. So I grade you on your format, grade you on the fact if you have the answer with the correct or about correct number of significant figures, and the unit involved in that answer as well. So free body diagram, theory, assumptions, and then the solution. A lot of people just like to start in right here at solution. As you can see, there's a whole lot of problem going on before the solution. So just make sure that all of your problems come in looking similar to this, and then your answer needs to be either underlined or separated out, or a box around it, or something that clearly indicates this is my answer. Okay? So that's the kind of first order of business. The book, which I forgot to bring with me today, did anybody bring it by any chance? Thermodynamics, 8th edition. I think we're going to, yes, there you go, very good. And that looks like an international edition, which is fine. But Chengel is the author of this text, and it's really an excellent book. It's really a sea change in the approach to thermodynamics it's pretty incredible. So the 8th edition looks like this, okay? And you can also, in this class, probably get away with using the 7th edition, but if you do, it's your responsibility to get the homework set. The problems will be slightly different, and you'll have to get those from your classmates in order to finish this. There's my husband. Change up keys. Be right back. There you go. Thank you. We'll see you in a couple hours.
Yep.
Right? All right. So if you have the 7th edition or you have access to the 7th edition, that will be fine. So, but like I said, it will be your responsibility. You can't hand in the problems directly from this text, so you'll have to get them from your classmates. Okay? All right. So and the text is required, and we're going to start using it right away. And I don't have any extra editions of it, and I'm really sorry, because I would love to give it to you. In fluids, for those of you who are in fluids, we have the ability to not purchase a textbook, which saved us some money, so we can all have a party. But in thermo, I don't have any good. I would love to have a good alternative, but I don't. So there you go. Our homework is part of the grade, 15% of the grade. we're only going to have a midterm and a final in this class. And the reason for that is the online component. We're testing a proctoring software called Accommodations for our online students, and so we're a beta test class for that. That's why we only have 2 tests. So each one of them is worth 40%, which is quite a lot. Attendance is worth 5%. If you miss a class or 2, it's not that big of a deal. With engineers, I mostly find that attendance is a gimme, so I can just give you 5 extra points because almost all engineers show up all the time, which is great because that's the way everybody should do it. And based on these 4 components, generally 90 to 100 corresponds to a letter grade of A, 80 to below 90 is a B, and so forth. If you go through, if you do the steps, if you come to class most of the time, I mean almost all of the time, watch the vodcasts, ask me questions, do your homework, and take your exams on time, you will probably get an A or a B in this class. It's quite unlikely that you would get a C. It's not unheard of, but the people that get D's and F's are definitely people who don't go through the steps. So I've always said I've been teaching, this is, I can't even tell you how long, I can tell you how long I've been teaching thermo, but it's been a while. So this was actually the first class I taught here at Northwest College before I was even on the faculty. I was working as a consultant, and I started teaching this class probably before you guys were born in 1993. So I've been teaching this for a while. So what I'm telling you comes out of a pretty long experience with teaching thermo. And what I would tell you is there are 4 things that make up success for a student. And the 4 things are to come to class, to do your homework, to take your exams, and if those 3 things don't work, to talk to your instructor. That's really it. And I would really think after all this time, after 25 years at this, I would have more insight, that there would be something brilliant that I could tell you that would help you more, but those 4 things really are the essence of being a successful student. So to that end, I'm in my office quite a lot, and you're always welcome to stop by. I do have office hours posted on this syllabus, but you're welcome to come by any time that I'm there. And the best way to have time with me in my office is to send me an email and set an appointment, because then I have allocated time with you, and anybody else that comes by will not take priority over our time together. So if you need time to work on homework or to understand ideas, please email me, please come by, and we'll do that. Okay? If I need to get a hold of you between classes, I will email you at your student email account, so check your email regularly. So for example, if I'm not going to be here, which those of you that have had me in class before knows doesn't happen that often, but I'm thinking you would rather find that out while you're still lying in bed in the morning rather than when you're sitting here waiting for me to show up. So please check your email, and I will, that's how I'll get a hold of you. I'll also post all of our notices to Moodle, and so check your Moodle companion site regularly as well. Because this has an internet component, I will strive very diligently to have a video posted of each one of our classes. And the only time that doesn't happen, they've automated our vodcasting system a little bit. So it may be a little bit easier for me to do that this year, but in the past, it's gone through 4 people in order to get the videos posted. So sometimes there was a delay just based on maybe somebody was busy, maybe somebody was doing something else, maybe somebody wasn't here. And then of course there's equipment failure as well. So hopefully it's a little bit better this year than it has been in the past. You're responsible for all material covered in the course during excused and unexcused absences. So we, for example, we have some people who are active in student life. We have people in this class who are active in extracurricular activities. If you miss for those things, they are totally excused. You don't have any penalty, but you still have to do the work, right? So that's what the, now that I've given the keys to my husband, I can turn my phone off. Once you have all of that taken care of, you still have to do the homework. So that's what the Moodle site is for, and that's also what coming to see me in my office is for. So please use both of those resources. So homework is assigned every class period, and you need to keep it in a folder or a notebook or however you prefer to keep it until we have completed a chapter. We'll do about 8 chapters in this class, so that means I'll collect homework 8 times during the semester, more or less. But that doesn't mean that all of your chapter homework needs to be done on the day before it's due, because it becomes very complicated, and it's important to break the chapter down into lectures. So if you do your homework and you're not certain of aspects of getting your homework completed, all you have to do is come to class, and at the beginning of the next class, I'll take questions from the homework. And even if we have to work through problems, if we have to complete problems, even if we have to do problems entirely, we'll do it in class the next day. But it depends on you keeping up. Because if you put off your homework till the last day, and you say, I just don't get chapter 1, which none of you would really do, I know, but I can't really cope, we can't really cope with that as a class. So do your homework, do the best that you can every single day, and then we'll address the problems at the beginning of the next class. Okay? So I don't collect, but it's still due for a classroom discussion. Okay? If you're absent, you have to have your homework completed at the beginning of the next class period. We do the question, answer, problem completion session, and if you don't have it done due the next day, we won't be ready. So the midterm and the final exams in this class are cumulative. The nature of this material is cumulative. If you don't get chapter 2 and you go, oh, thank goodness that's over, now I'm on chapter 3, you're not going to breathe much of a sigh of release, because it's going to be like start over and remember what we did in chapter 2, now we're going to take it to the next level in chapter 3. So if you don't get something, make sure that you work with me or your classmates or interact with the material in order to get the material before we go on. So we've talked about how the homework comes in. We've talked about the exams, and as it says, for full credit on homework, students must use the Quadro paper and use the homework template as a guide, which will soon be posted to our Moodle page. Academic dishonesty, which is also known as cheating, is not tolerated. There is an NWC policy, and there's a lot of bad things that can happen to you. But the basic gist of it is it's never worth it. So, you know, if you're embarrassed because you don't really understand material and you think you need to cheat to do better on a test, I swear to you, you cannot impress me with your failure on an exam. I have seen catastrophic failures of people, and they still go on to live they live another day. So just if you're going to do poorly, accept it and move forward. But don't, you know, cheating is at the very least a short-term solution to a long-term problem. Okay, the long-term problem is you have to have this material, and most of you are going to have it to move forward in your studies. So there's really 2 ways of cheating. One of them is to get stuff from your classmates. The other stuff, which is harder to understand, is to give stuff to your classmates. So that's referred to as trafficking. It's also academically dishonest to give one of your classmates information. Okay. Now, my opinion is if you work together on homework, that is not cheating or trafficking. As long as the homework comes into me in your own handwriting, I'm fine with that. I don't really care how you do it. If you work together and you split up the problems and you do 2 and you do 2 and you do 2, but you do, then you go, you know, you discuss it and you send in the homework in your own handwriting, I'm good with that. That's not cheating. Tests are completely different. You cannot use your cell phone on a test for any reason. You cannot look at your neighbor's papers for any reason. You cannot give your neighbor any information for any reason. Okay? So, and I think mostly it's common sense. You know, we all kind of know what cheating is. I think the trafficking thing is a little different, especially with a lot of electronic information. It's very easy to think you're helping somebody by giving them stuff, and it may or may not be. So just keep that in mind, and if you have any questions, ask somebody or refrain from doing it. So, and let's just not. I don't really think I have any tobacco chewers in this class, but if you do, oh my gosh, please don't do it in here. It is so nasty to look at. And if you keep it in your mouth, I'm not going to know, but don't spit in a bottle. And you can't smoke in here and you can't vape, so there you go. And I'm just kind of an evangelist for not using tobacco, so there's that. But we don't really know where chewing fits into it in terms of the college, but just please don't. So we also have a disability support service compliance statement. Lisa Watson is our compliance officer. If you have any questions about this, you can ask me. But if you have a documented disability that you would like to reveal, we can accommodate you in that in the classroom. And I'm really happy to accommodate anything, but I'm not trained in this field. So if you have a disability, I need to have somebody who is trained in the field tell me what to do to help you. So don't hesitate to talk with me or with Lisa Watson in order to get the classroom situation that you need. The biggest accommodation I've seen is just people who can't really take a test in a noisy environment, who are distracted. And to tell you the truth, I don't really need to have an accommodation letter. If you like to take a test by yourself, we can just do that. So if there's more to it, then we kind of go from there. The other thing about accommodations is, as a classroom teacher, I try really hard to remain fair to everybody. So like if a test is to be given in a 2-hour block, it's not that I'm trying to be mean to you if you want to have more time than that. It's that it's not fair to your classmates if you have 5 hours to do a test and your classmates only have 2, unless there's a specific reason that needs to happen. So I try to keep everybody on an even playing field so that we can look at your grades and so that everybody has a fair shake, okay? So, but if there's something that makes this situation innately unfair to you, then I want to even the playing field in a different way. So that's what the accommodation thing is about. The other thing is, having said that, some engineering students are pretty intense, you may have noticed. I did have one student several years ago that I left taking an exam with another person, and he ended up staying for 8 hours to take a 2-hour exam, which I know. So, and she was a little irritated with me because she was here till seriously 8:30 at night. And I assumed that he would use a reasonable amount of time. He's a very successful engineer. He's an intense person. Got into a concentration coma and just started working and working and working. But we have to avoid that as well. If you need 8 hours for a test, we need to make sure that somebody's on regular work hours in order to proctor that. And most people just, a 2-hour test I write. You guys most of you have had a class from me before. 8 hours is a ridiculous amount of time to try to take one of my tests. You should be able to get them done in 2 hours. Absolutely. Right? Ish. Okay. So, so there you go. The last part is, I hope this does not apply to anybody, but if you do need to drop or withdraw from the class, go through the formal process of doing it. Even if you tell me that you want to drop it or withdraw, I can do it administratively, but you need to make sure it gets done in terms of the paperwork, because otherwise you'll get an F. And so just go through the process. But the drop date is pretty early on, but the withdraw date is very, very far into the semester. I think it's way past spring break. So, so you have a lot of chances in order to not get an F in this class. All right. Does anybody have any questions for me? Homework template, Moodle page, textbook? None of it. Okay. All right, well then guess what? That's it for today. This is our only short class. From now on we'll start just doing content. Thermodynamics is really interesting. And just in closing in the last couple of minutes, I think that the ideas of heat transfer and energy transformation and direction of reaction are really, really exciting concepts. Like I said, my degrees are in petroleum engineering, and this is just part and parcel with petroleum and chemical engineering. But it's just very interesting. The concepts some of them are new. We have to relearn some ideas in terms of terminology, some ideas, some words that are used in a vernacular sense that don't really apply to the scientific, so we have to relearn some stuff, sort of like we did in mechanics and materials. But overall, this is just really fascinating stuff. So I think we're going to have a really good time. It's my favorite class to teach. And I hope you guys like it as much as I do. So, well, I don't know. Maybe surveying is also my favorite class to teach because we get to go outside. So that's fun. But in terms of content, I think this is my favorite class. So if you have any questions, come by. I'm going to be off campus tomorrow, but that doesn't interfere with this class. But if you need to talk to me, email me. And I will be back Monday morning. And so I'll look forward to seeing you Tuesday for class. So have a great day, everybody. And streaming is done.